Hey guys, welcome back to another Teamfight Spotlight brought to you by Tempo Storm. My name is Canadian and today we are looking at the New York Excelsior versus the Seoul Dynasty. In this situation, the NYXL have 30 seconds to attack point A. They only have one ultimate and the rest of them are pretty far off, whereas the Seoul Dynasty also only have one ultimate, but theirs are a little bit closer. So, how do the NYXL manage to take this point from the Seoul Dynasty? Well, let's break it down. First thing to notice is the patience coming out of the NYXL. JJonak got picked off very early, so the NYXL hold steady, they wait for him to return before finally diving in. Now, they are communicating and they know that their main tank, Winston, is going to touch the point. Now, throughout this whole series so far, the NYXL have made it a point to constantly focus and kill Ryu Jaehong on the Zenyatta. So Sebiolbi, who was on the high ground just a second ago, is communicating with his Winston and with his Pharah the positions of the Dynasty supports. So the calls come through, hey, the supports are inside the cafe, which is this building here, so he's going to blink across and look to get a huge pulse bomb that can turn this fight in their favor. He sees them, he hears them, he sees that they haven't stepped out, he gets the pulse bomb, but Ryu Jaehong reacts instantly with the Transcendence. Potentially, it might have been better to just try and one-clip the Zen so he could not transcend, but either way, it was a great play from Sebiolbi and a great reaction from Ryu Jaehong. So now, the Dynasty have a lot of healing on the point and they are 6 members strong. This is a 6v6 and we're going to keep track of the numbers a lot in this fight. It's a 6v6, but the Dynasty have more healing happening. So, let's see. He can't kill the Mercy because of the Transcendence healing. The NYXL are trying to kind of spread out and disengage and not really take the fight because the Transcendence healing is going on. So you see the Winston hops up here to kind of create some space. The Diva tries to get up here also, but the Dynasty are doing a good job of trying to at least get something with this Transcendence because everyone's full HP, so that Transcendence isn't doing anything except it mostly just saved Ryu Jaehong's life. So now they need to take the Transcendence advantage, the ultimate's invested, and turn it into a numbers advantage. So they are going to go after the Diva, who has yet to hop onto the high ground. But someone has to contest, so Meko, he flies off to the high ground, realizes he's the last one there to touch because Winston hopped away, and he is touching the point for his team. So now we see the tac visor come out from Munchkin because the Diva mech is gone. So the tac visor, there's nothing to hinder it, and he's hopefully going to kill, you know, the flying enemies of the NYXL. He does get pressured by the Winston, and the bubble was kind of covering his line of sight, so he's pushed back into the cafe. A great burst kill onto Sebiolbi on the Tracer, so Helix Rockets does 120, a Melee does 30. If you combo those together, you get an instant kill onto a full HP Tracer, so amazing play here by Munchkin. So now, if we look at the side of the NYXL, they have 3 dead, so there's only 3 people alive, whereas Toby is the only person to have been killed by the NYXL. Now this is really important. Toby is the main healer for the Dynasty, and Ryu Jaehong already used Transcendence, so the healing output for Dynasty is very minimal at this point, whereas the NYXL, where they did lose 3 members, they still have both of their healers. Now, we talked about this in our last Teamfight Spotlight, where it is very important to guard the bodies of your enemies that you kill so Mercy cannot get a Resurrect. And what we are going to see is the Dynasty fail to do that, and Arc is going to be able to res the main tank, Yanis. So we see in this screen right here, here's Yanis' body. Everyone is relatively safe over here. It's mostly the Pharah raiding death from above, Mercy is with the Pharah, and the enemy Zenyatta JJonak is kind of over in this main corridor. So Zumba lost mech, Miro is pretty healthy, and we see both DPS are in this area. So Dynasty wants to guard this body, but either a miscommunication or a lapse in judgment, they fail to do so, and Arc is just going to float down and get the res onto Yanis. Right here, Miro wasn't in position to kill Arc. and neither were Munchkin or Fleta. If Fleta was here, he could have maybe used a concussion mine to knock Arc away, because the Transcendence is coming out right now to stop Arc from dying. So the chances of killing Arc are rather small unless you get, you know, a lot of burst damage such as Junkrat, or you have to pull Arc away from the body to interrupt the Resurrect. So Halt is able to do this, as well as a concussion mine, but the DPS are playing in the back here. I think they should have been playing up here so they could kind of cover this whole area, as well as if you're this much closer to the Pharah, it makes it that much easier to hit her. So the Resurrect comes out onto the Winston, and that is a huge change in the tide of this fight. So there was 3 people alive for NYXL just a second ago. D.Va just respawned, so she's coming back. Saebyeolbe is about to respawn, so now it's 4 people on the NYXL versus the 5 people of the Seoul Dynasty. Now, if we take a look at the ult economy, Miro is close to a supercharger. Toby is dead, but he is going to come back with the Valkyrie, and really, this is the only ultimate coming up for the Seoul Dynasty, whereas we have both the Barrage and the Valkyrie coming up for the NYXL. So it happened off screen, we'll rewind a second, but Munchkin, he runs away right here. It took a while watching this video to find out what happened, but Munchkin, he's going for a big flank. He runs away, he goes up the stairs here, and then he's trying to get to the high ground right here to kind of provide Overwatch on the point. So that's where Munchkin is in the remainder of this fight. Now remember, there's high ground here and there's high ground here. It probably would have been more beneficial to use this high ground as it is much closer. There is a health pack. Our team is kind of in this area, so he should have gone to this high ground in my opinion instead of this high ground. So Munchkin is basically taking himself out of the fight for the next couple seconds here. So essentially we lost Toby. Zumba is out of mech. We have about 4.5 people here for the Seoul Dynasty, and we've got 4 people here for the NYXL, and D.Va and Saebyeolbe are coming back from the NYXL spawn to reinforce this, and Transcendence is currently going to prevent any NYXL members from dying. So Fleta is not really in a position right now to deal any sort of damage. He's afraid of the Pharah, which makes sense. Pharah is a counter to the Junkrat, but he's also not in a position to damage the back line of the NYXL. That's why this high ground is so strong. You get access to this whole area as well as the point. Miro, looking to boost his team, drops the supercharger because he really wants to win this fight. At the same time, Fleta does go down. So Ryu Jaehong returned and Fleta died. So now we've got 5 members here for the Seoul Dynasty and probably 6 members for the NYXL. So the supercharger is boosting Zumba, Ryu Jaehong, and assuming Munchkin makes it here quick enough, it will boost the soldier. So a good supercharger here to try and turn this fight in Dynasty's favor, but Miro just used the shield and he's not standing in any cover, so you're going to see what happens when you play like that versus a Pharah. He's going to boost up and get a huge barrage onto the Dynasty team. And then off on the side here, you see Jay Jonak is taking away this high ground, so the NYXL has control of this area and Cafe instead of the Dynasty. Ryu Jaehong in the doorway there does kill the Pharah as she's locked in the barrage animation, and honestly Ryu Jaehong is about to get so many kills through this doorway, but it is too late. His team is not going to have enough time to reinforce, and you will finally see Munchkin reappear on the high ground near the tail end of this fight. So 1 kill already for Ryu Jaehong, another kill right here on Jay Jonak, and then there's Munchkin. If we rewind, you'll see his shadow right here. This is him right here, and he just jumped off the high ground. So he was over here last seen, and then he reappears over here after his team has died. So he was maybe trying to get an angle on the Pharah, but again, he could have done the same thing, taking the Cafe high ground. So there is Munchkin. Ryu Jaehong already with 2 kills. Saebyeolbe moves into pressure. Ryu Jaehong gets the 3rd kill. So Ryu has killed 3 here, but it's just him and Toby, so it's 2 healers versus the world. We just saw Zumba, Fleda, Munchkin, and Miro all die. So it's the healers versus the world. Jay, Jonak, Libero, and Seb Yulby died, but 2 tanks with a Mercy is enough to overpower just the 2 healers of the Dynasty. So really well played by both teams in this fight. The Dynasty needed to guard Winston's body to really force the NYXL into a bad situation. Until they had this Resurrect, it was just Zenyatta, Mercy, and Pharah. So really no one to contest the point for the NYXL. But since Arc is able to get the res on the Winston, now they have a big old tank body to contest the point for them. Well, the healers and the Pharah rain death and destruction onto the Dynasty. So this Resurrect was really the turning point in this overtime fight by the NYXL, and it was really up to the Dynasty to guard this body to make sure Arc could not get that Resurrect, and that's where the concussion mines from the Junkrat definitely come in. So guys, that has been another episode of Teamfight Spotlight brought to you by Tempo Storm. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, my name is Canadian. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video or you have any feedback, let me know in the comments. As always, I hope this was helpful, and have a good one.